Pro-Vice-Chancellor, it gives me very great pleasure indeed to call upon Kayode Damali to give an address to our students. Kayode Damali is an accredited professional speaker, member of the Global Speakers Federation, media personality, and a graduate of Manchester Metropolitan University. Kayode graduated from Manchester Met with a first-class honours degree in Psychology of Sport and Exercise. In 2014, his final year project research on motivation and self-belief was published. Upon graduating, Kayode was elected Vice President of the Students' Union and student nominee on the Board of Governors. Kayode was elected as Director of the National Union of Students before embarking on his career as an entrepreneur, where he has been listed in the top 10 of the most powerful young entrepreneurs in the world. As well as his business endeavours, Kayode volunteers on projects that give young people opportunities to engage with reading, social activities, and the prevention of offending. Please welcome Kayode Damali to the lectern.
Pro-Vice-Chancellor, members of the university, graduates, what's going on? And our friends, guests and family up in the balconies. It's very high up. I hope I don't look too small, you know. I'm actually like 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, but anyway. My name is Kayode Damali. I am my mum and dad's son. And I'm proud. In fact, I was going far to say that I'm honoured to be here today to deliver this graduation speech. And the reason why I say that's an honour for me to be here today is twofold. Two reasons. Firstly, because as you now know, I came to MMU myself, started in 2010, graduated in 2013. But if you knew what my life was like before I came to MMU, you would understand why I say that this university generally changed my life. And it'll always have a place in my heart. Now, I don't know whether that's by the aorta or the ventricles or the atrium. I don't know where around the heart, but it's definitely in the heart somewhere. So if you're anything like me and proud to be part of this beloved university, or if you're proud to be graduating today, please make some noise up in Bridgewater Hall and give yourself a massive round of applause. Woo! And I have to say, let me quickly digress. I have to say, I was sitting there admiring, you can tell this is an art graduation. I was admiring some of your shoes and your outfits walking across the stage. It's actually amazing. But anyway, the second reason why I say that's an honor for me to be here today is because I realized that it's been 7 years. It's been 7 years since I was last stood in this exact same spot, delivering the graduation speech to the 2014 graduation. And with yourselves being the 2021 graduation, that's 7 years. So shouts out to Rachel who invited me here today. And I remember when I got the email, I was sitting there thinking, Raz, it actually been 7 years since I was last doing a graduation speech for MMU. And I began reflecting on what are some of the key lessons or some of the key takeaways that I can share with you today. I think reflecting is always good to do, reflecting on your day or your year or whatever. And as I was sitting there reflecting about my last 7 years, I became a bit concerned. I began being a bit worried. I didn't know whether I should ring my GP or maybe ring my mum, because I was thinking, am I maybe part dog? Or am I maybe a part canine? Because I kid you not, these last 7 years has literally felt like 1 year. Time has absolutely flown by. And I still feel exactly the same. I still got the same suit, well, different suit, but the same tie. I'm still Kayode, I'm the same guy. I still keep it real and remain fly. And in fact, I still got the same dead beard from 2014 as well. So to quickly digress, if anyone can teach me how to grow a beard for the next 7 years, because this is a bit pathetic, don't you think, for 7 years? However, in terms of the experiences and lessons that I learned along the way over these past 7 years, nah, I am not the same. Far from it. In fact, it's Muhammad Ali who once said that the man at 50 who views the world the same as he did when he was 20 has wasted 30 years of his life. Now, of course, I'm not 50, but if I was to put it in my shoes, if I viewed the world the same when I delivered a 2014 graduation speech as I am today delivering a 2021 graduation speech, I would have wasted 7 years of my life. Whoa, was that sneeze or? So no, I'm not the same in that sense. So over this short time that we have together today, I want to share with you one vital lesson that I've learned across these last 7 years. That if you grasp it today, I promise you that when you graduate and leave these doors in Bridgewater Hall, I promise you that you're going to be able to save yourself energy, you'll be able to save yourself resources, but most importantly, you're going to be able to save yourself time, which, as we know, is a commodity that when it's once spent, that we can't get back. So I encourage you to shake it out, sit back, relax, fasten your seatbelts, and get ready for the flight. Now, if I gave you a choice, would you rather do a bungee jump or a skydive? Now, they're both similar in a sense that they start off mad high up, like our people in the gallery right now who think I'm like 5'1". They're both similar in the sense that they start off high. They're a high-thrilled adrenaline event before going down. But the distance between the two are very different. Now, a lot of people know me as for being like a professional speaker. I guess that's cool. I've got no qualms with it. I was on The Apprentice, in a big BBC One show. They had me down as a professional speaker. So a lot of people knew me as that. That's cool. I ain't got a problem with it. That's cool. But what a lot of people don't realize is that I actually ran an events business. It started in 2014 when I was 22 years old. And in fact, coming to Bridgewater Hall today reminded me, I had events in such a situation whereby I'd be in different places around the world and still having events going on in the UK. I would have been in Sydney, Australia. I still had events going on in the UK. I remember one time I was in Pennsylvania in America. I still had events going on in the UK. So they're very successful in that sense whereby, won awards, got put in a newspaper and stuff like that. And basically how we kind of operated was that we would sit down, plan the event, run the event. Sit down with the team, okay, what should we do now? Okay, plan the event. And that was the routine over and over and over again. However, despite the success on paper, we had one massive flaw. We had one massive issue that was stopping us from being the best that we could be. And that is, we had a short-term way of thinking. Or what I like to say, we had a bungee jump way of thinking. And in fact, scratch that. When I say we, really and truthfully, I should be saying I. Because like they say, the fish stinks from the head down. I was the person in charge. I was the person responsible. So I had a short-term way of thinking. I had a bungee jump way of thinking. And what do I mean by that? Kayode, what do you mean by bungee jump way of thinking? Great question if you're wondering. Bungee jump, what's it like on a bungee jump? You start high, you come back down. You got to go back up again, and then come back down. Then you got to go back up again. Maybe not all the way up, but you still got to go back up before coming back down. And that's it over and over and over again. Whereas in contrast, skydiving, there's more longevity behind it. There's more sustainability behind it. You can keep going for longer. So what's the issue having a short-term bungee jump thinking versus a long-term skydive way of thinking? Or think about it. When you think short-term and do things short-term, you got to do things over and over and over again. You got to keep that hamster wheel going. And as they say, short-term thinking, that produces short-term results. Whereas on the other hand, long-term thinking, that produces us long-term results. And that's what we want to be aiming for. We want our results to pay dividends for us on the long run. That's the key massive difference between the two. Now, that's not to say that short-term thinking doesn't have its place. Yeah, of course it does. I don't know whether you want to do the ratio, maybe 90% long-term thinking, 10% short-term, or 80% long-term. However you want to do the ratio is up to you. But the main thing that we need to make sure that we do, the main thing that we need to make sure that happens is that whatever we do in the short term needs to be consistent with the results that we want to happen in the long term. That is the key element that I learned over the last 7 years, potentially the hard way. That is the key thing. And it's that deep for me now, this new way of thinking over these last 7 years. It's that deep for me now that I don't even care. I don't even care too tough. Maybe one tough or maybe half a tough. But I don't really care too tough about short-term results anymore. Yeah, they're cute. I might go on Instagram, see someone post up a short-term result. I might give it a like, or maybe a thumbs up emoji, or maybe an aubergine emoji. Okay, I'm not going to give it an aubergine emoji. Like, Kayode, you can't be doing that. You know, imagine you graduate today, you post up on Instagram, and then you see me put in an aubergine emoji. And I'm not going to do that, don't. But I don't even care too tough about the short-term results because anyone can have them. I've had them. But the issue when you have short-term results is that quickly come, quickly go. Easy come, easy go. So I'm not even impressed too tough about the short-term results. I'm more impressed now about the longevity and the consistency rather than the short-term flash-in-the-pan victories. That is the difference, what impresses me now. And I know sometimes we might think, wow, Kayode, you really just want us to focus on the long term? You want us to focus on the next 7 years? Well, what's that going to get us to? What, 2029? Damn, I hope I still look 2020 fine. I don't know. But yes, I know sometimes it's hard to focus on the long term. But it's like Bill Gates said, you know, shouts out to Billy. Can I call him Billy? Well, shouts out to Bill Gates. He said that, and I'm paraphrasing, right? Because he uses the term 10 years. Well, I want to bring it to my theme of 7 I've got going on. But Bill Gates said that most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but underestimate what they can achieve in 7 years. So focusing on the long term is something you can do over this next 7-year period. And now as I close, as I mentioned, I mean, if you take my word for it as well, I mean, think about it, does it not make the most economical sense as well to focus on the long term? Like, if you're going to be putting in effort in regardless, right? Think about it. I know you're going to be graduating and putting in effort when you leave this room anyway, right? Because I know for the fact that to get here, you have to put in effort. So if you're going to be continuing putting in effort anyway, right? Does it not make the most economical sense if that time's going to pass for your effort to last long term rather than short term, have to do things over and over and over again? Like, it's just crazy the way my mind has now changed over the past 7 years. So anyway, as I close, the next 7 years for you, the time is going to pass. How you choose to spend your time over the next 7 years is down to you. I mean, unless you're anything like what happened to me in the weekend, I was in my bathroom and I broke a mirror. So maybe my next 7 years are full of bad luck. I pray to God, please touch wood, it doesn't happen. But anyway, the next 7 years for you, you are going to arrive. But the question is, where? Now, as they say, the bad news for you is that the time is going to fly. But the good news is that you are the pilot. You get to choose how you spend your time over these next 7 years. Now, I've been your pilot, Kayode Damali speaking. You can now unfasten your seatbelts because our flight MMU 2022 has now arrived at destination graduation, where the success of your dreams is now only limited to your imagination. Gracias por escuchar. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kayode, inspiring us all.